Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Tina. Good to be here. And I have this mantra, or the tagline for the class is become a badass UX leader. And I specifically say badass UX leader and not just UX researcher because I see inherently the research position requires a lot of leadership skills and qualities. And so I take more of a 360 approach, not just the research. We can learn methods, we can learn how to do interviews and surveys, but more of a science mindset, leading by example, showing humility, asking good questions, how to communicate, how to resolve conflicts, things like that. So I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I expose to them different theories of leadership, what facilitative leadership is, transformational leadership, and go through the theories of different leadership. And I show them, you don't have to be that to be a leader. And I break that down because in order to be a good leader, you have to have known what it's like to be a follower. Mm-hmm. And I think that everyone has followed at some point. And you can start to learn what works well. How do you like to be treated? How should people not treat each other? And so I take it from there.
Can you tell where you decided, if it was a conscious decision or just came out of nowhere?
To teach UX research, it was really difficult to teach officially, or to get people to pay me to teach, at least. I was afraid to do it. But even before the class, my own friends asked me, how did you get into UX research? I would test it out. I took them to the library. This was before COVID. I took them to the library every weekend, and I gave them assignments. I prepared some decks to teach them.
Wow.
And they loved it. One of them landed a UX research job at Google, but I'm not gonna take all the credit. So I tested it out, and that moment when someone was able to land a job, or even land interviews, or they come back and say, "Hey, I tried reading books, or tried watching these other things, but when you taught this, it just became clearer." Or I try to remind them that you might have stakeholders observing, you might have your manager observing, but there's one more important person who's right in front of you, and that's the participant. Just focus on them. And one thing that I learned also was the discussion guide. It's called a discussion guide for a reason. And it's not meant to prescribe how and what order we ask everything, because conversation flows. It's organic, and we change from one topic to another. When we find somewhere to follow up or probe on, we can take the chance and do that and go off script, and it's okay.
Yeah, nobody will die.
Yeah, nobody will die. And
I wish you would telling me, when I started with this 10 years ago.
It's easier said than done, definitely, because it takes some practice.
Looking at your students, what would you say, how does the transformation from your program is called to zero to UX, from the zero to a confident UX researcher look like? What phases they go through?
The phases I make them go through are just dive into the work, dive into actually doing the work, and make mistakes. It's in the class, I encourage them to make mistakes. It's okay. I'm here to give feedback. Because one of the things that I'm sure a lot of UX researchers experience is imposter syndrome. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? And without any feedback, we don't know, and we're going to keep feeling that. And so I make them do it without much guidance first. And I tell them, hey, what did you think? Share your experience with me. What did you need to know? And then I'll give feedback on their study plans and their interview moderating skills too. And we'll practice it. We'll work. I'll work on all the skills that they need to work on to get better. Biggest advice pertaining to looking for jobs. I have one. It's more of a mental tip or more of a mental reminder that it'll take some time. I went through personally 70 rejections to find my first job. By the 20th, I was already wanting to give up. It's tough. It's tough to receive a lot of rejections, but the reminder is, as long as you keep an open mind, take notes on what you think you did well, what you didn't do so well on, what you struggled with. Ask for feedback. The interviewers might not give you feedback, but just be your own worst critic and do mock interviews with people. Get an assessment for people who can give you feedback, and keep going, because the person from the last interview is not going to be the same person going into the next interview. You're only going to get better at this.